Today, I'm sharing my #1 tip for writing a gripping first line, so be sure to stick around. Let's get started. Hey guys, Nour here and welcome back to my channel. For those visiting for the first time, hello! I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. Be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. So let's talk about first lines. We're all aware that the very first line of a story needs to hook readers. It needs to intrigue them enough to want to keep on reading. So in essence, all you have to do is create intrigue with your first line. I know this sounds vague. It's like saying in order to hook readers, you need to hook them. Like, yeah, obviously, but how do you do that? How do you actually create intrigue? The answer is a lot less complicated than you think. You write something that gets readers asking questions. That's my #1 tip for writing a gripping first line. Now, implementing that tip can be a challenge, but once you start thinking of first lines as statements that get readers asking questions, it gets easier. Let's take a look at some examples of gripping first lines. Every summer, Ling Kong returned to Goose Village to divorce his wife, Shuyu. This statement has so many layers to it. It makes me ask, why does Ling Kong keep divorcing his wife? Wasn't the first time final? What's going on here? And just like that, I want to know more. I want answers. Another famous first line is from George Orwell's 1984. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were ticking 13. The first part of the sentence is so ordinary. It was just a cold day in April. So what? But then Orwell surprises us. The clock strikes 13. This isn't ordinary. What's going on? What world are we in? Something else to notice about these first lines is that they're simple. They're not confusing with a billion ideas. They have one message. They convey their idea without leaving readers trying to decipher their meaning. So there's a clear difference between getting readers to ask questions because they're curious and getting readers to say, I don't understand, can someone translate? You don't want to clutter the first sentence with 10 different messages. Keep them simple but intriguing. Here are a few other examples of gripping first lines. It was a pleasure to burn. Again, why would the narrator say this? We're curious and we want to know. Is the narrator saying that they love to get burned? Or are they saying that they love burning other things? We don't know, but we would like to know. In this first line, we don't even know who the narrator is, but the statement makes us invested. And here's another favorite. All children, except one, grow up. This one comes from Peter Pan. It's simple, it's direct, and it's engaging. Why is there only one child who doesn't grow up? You can't help but want to know the answer, which gets you reading. Also, keep in mind that these lines don't start with dialogue or a cliche. They don't start with a character waking up or a character narrating a dream. Why? Because that's not really impactful, and there's a reason it's cliche. Also, cliche opening lines don't get readers to ask questions. Sure, your first line is your character waking up. So what? They might as well go back to sleep because we're bored. The same idea applies to dialogue. Even though starting with dialogue can cause some intrigue, it could also confuse readers. They'll read the dialogue out of context, so it doesn't feel as effective. There are some exceptions to this rule, but generally, a gripping first line doesn't start with dialogue. But they always start with a statement that triggers questions. Before we wrap things up, I want to read one more first line. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of #4 Pivot Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. I mean, how can you not love this line? It makes you wonder, what makes the Dursleys normal? What do they consider not normal? Why are they glad by this information? It's a simple statement, but it gets you asking questions. And that's really the biggest thing to keep in mind when coming up with your first line. Just don't try too hard to shock readers. Keep it simple, but intriguing. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, do you have a favorite first line? Let me know in the comments. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frayne, Alan J. Early, and Noah Kovanti from my shout out tier over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate you. And remember, Nour for president.